We're gonna go now. We're gonna get you in the car.
Are you okay? Oh my God.
Making people question their faith and belief in God, the film is full of jump scares and cursed moments that make you twist your skin inside out. The film opens with a camera crew who is filming the life of Father Cotton Priest, who has stopped believing in God. Cotton lives in Louisiana with his wife and son. He is accustomed to performing exorcisms on possessed individuals, but his faith has waned after reading about an autistic child being killed during an exorcism, reminding him of his disabled son, who was made disabled by God and cured by the doctors, humankind. According to him, God and Satan do not exist. People who come to church just want to be entertained, so his role as a priest is only to facilitate the entertainment. Sure, the man has his reasons, but he's going to pay a hefty price for choosing to be with the dark side. The father's life comes in danger from the very exact minute he agrees to take part in a documentary designed to expose exorcism as a fraud while working with a film crew consisting of producer Iris and cameraman Daniel. Cotton's faith has shaken to a point where he assumes that demonic possession is not an act of spiritual force. He believes people who are depressed in their minds develop a syndrome and begin thinking that they're possessed. At random, he chooses a plea letter from an individual seeking an exorcism, leading him to the farmhouse of Lewis, a man who claims to have a possessed daughter named Nell. Cotton decides to take Iris and Daniel there and document his fake exorcism. Lord, help the little girl and deliver her from evil. Father and the crew drive to a deserted town, full of superstitious people. Lost in the middle, Father talks to a woman about the location who ends up making up stories about a cult present in the land, which secretly sacrifices animals and humans in the name of Satan. The father and the crew people stop a truck in intent to seek help finding out the location. A young boy, who doesn't seem friendly, comes out of his truck and misleads them with wrong directions. Not only does he mislead them, but he also begins throwing muddy stones on their car's windshield. Saving their life from the maniac, Father and his crew finally reach Lewis's farmhouse. Lewis is the guy who wrote Father the letter in desperation of recovering his daughter. As the trio gets inside Lewis's farmhouse and begins talking, the maniac with the truck parks in the front yard. Cotton immediately warns Lewis to do something about the boy, thinking that the boy has come to pick a bone with him. Looks like Father is scared of humans more than the demons. He has stopped believing. Lewis gets stunned and tells him to relax because he is his son, Caleb. After settling things down, Lewis takes Father to his barn and reveals that he finds his animals slaughtered here now and then, which is very worrisome. He takes the father back inside and shows him his daughter's frock, which is soaked in blood. Lewis suspects Nell is behind all the brutal killings of his animals, but he's having trouble getting her to admit to it. Lewis is feeling as helpless as a poor with a hole in the roof. Subsequently to the barn's tour, Lewis gets Father to meet with the possessed girl, Nell, who turns out to be a very sweet and well-behaved teenager. She loves making art out of paper and pasting it on her bedroom wall. With a rather strange approach, Father straightaway asks her about sacrificing her father's animals, to which she instantly denies. She denies doing such a horrific and barbarous thing. Pretending or not, Nell looks nothing like the killer girl his father thinks of her. Nell's mother passed away 2 years ago, leaving the young girl traumatized and alone. Despite being super broken and alone on the inside, Nell pretends to be fine. She shows her drawings to Father, claiming that she draws what she sees in her dreams. The girl she draws is a Jewish queen, Esther. After having enough chit-chat, Father gathers everyone in the same room as Nell and begins asking Lewis how his wife died. Making everyone sad, Lewis recalls that she died of breast cancer. Her death left a strong impact on Lewis and his children. Lewis believes ever since his wife has died, there has been a huge change in Nell's personality. After hearing the tragic story, Father goes to his car to get some stuff out for Nell's exorcism. He is stopped by Caleb, who is worried for his sister. He is afraid to lose her during exorcism and also presents that his sister isn't possessed. Caleb just doesn't want to lose another family member. Before the exorcism, Father enters the room where he asked everyone to gather around. He asks Lewis to get a bucket full of water and place it under Nell's feet. He also plants hidden speakers and electronic props so he can bamboozle the family into believing he is driving out a demon. He asks everyone to pray to Lord while their eyes shut. While everyone follows Cotton's instructions, Caleb secretly keeps his eyes open. He witnesses the father adding bubbles to the water. Father asks everyone to open their eyes and see for themselves that he has taken the spirit out of her and points at the bubbling water as proof of it. After the ritual, Father and his film crew leave believing they have cured her of a mental state that was misdiagnosed as a possession by a powerful demon Avalon. Not believing in God is one thing, but Father has become a corrupt person now, which is least appreciated by God. That night, Nell mysteriously appears in Father's hotel room. The team tries to contact Lewis to get permission to film her, to no avail. Wishing to prove his point, Father admits Nell to the hospital for testing, hoping to receive a medical or psychological diagnosis proving demonic possession is not the cause of her illness. The doctor concludes that Nell is in perfect physical condition. In the morning, her father takes her home and chains her in her room for slicing her brother Caleb in the face. While Louis takes Caleb to the hospital, Father and the camera crew further investigate Nell and the home. They find Nell and release her. That night, there is a disturbance in the house, and Father and the crew hear the loud cries of a baby. They find Nell standing in a hallway. As they try to confront her, she heads into a bathroom, where she is found submerging a baby doll in water. After she comes out of her trance, the crew finds a drawing of a dead and bloody cat. Giving chills in your spine, the jump scares nearly give you a heart attack. That night, while Father and the crew are asleep, Nell steals their camera and goes into her room, placing the camera on a dresser as she pulls and distorts her face. Nell goes into her father's barn where she corners a cat, beating it to death with the camera. She returns to the house and raises the camera over Father's head, ostensibly to beat him to death with it. The rest of the crew stops her, unaware of what transpired. They discover two more paintings of Nell's. The first depicts someone who appears to be Cotton standing before a large flame, holding up a crucifix. The second shows what appears to be the dead bodies of all three visitors to the Sweetser farm, Cotton being consumed by the flame he was shown battling in the other picture, Iris hacked to pieces with an axe, and Dan decapitated. The demon has already planned their deaths in advance. He must be a pro at this. After that, we see that Lewis comes home and listens to an answering machine message from the hospital stating that Nell is pregnant. Father thinks Lewis might have committed the act of incest, which he denies, insisting that Nell is a virgin and has been defiled by the demon possessing her. Tempers flare as Father insists that Nell needs psychotherapy instead of another exorcism. Lewis orders the crew to vacate his property. While contemplating whether they should take Nell, noises are heard upstairs. They discover Nell has climbed atop her dresser. As they try calming her, she slashes Father's hand with a knife and runs outside. The crew decides to leave. As they enter their van, they see Nell sitting on her porch. While approaching her, Nell tackles the father, attempting to harm him. The struggle leads inside as Louis chases them with a shotgun. Attempting to keep Louis from killing Nell, Father agrees to attempt another exorcism. Things are getting worse with each passing scene. They relocate to the barn where Nell killed the cat. The demon takes Nell again, making her bend backward and break two of her fingers. She tells the crew that Nell is in the fire, and that Louis will soon join her. Nell asks Father to let her give him a blowing job. Father informs that this is not the correct term for such a thing, and therefore believes she is not possessed. Upon confronting the girl with this, she breaks down and admits to having sex with a boy named Logan and committing her violent acts out of shame for her pregnancy. No woman shall go through such suffering. On their way home, Father and the film crew detoured to the coffee shop where Logan works. Logan tells the crew that the only contact he had with Nell was a brief conversation 6 months ago. He insinuates that he is gay and therefore would never have had sex with her. Father and the film crew wonder why Nell would lie, and Father immediately realizes one of the things the devil is known as is the Prince of Lies. The film crew follows as he returns to Lewis's farmhouse. They enter the house to find numerous pentagrams and demonic symbols scrawled on the walls, but Nell and her family are missing. Could this be the demon's evil doing? Father and the film crew wander into the woods where they see a large fire and a congregation of hooded occultists led by Pastor, the Sweetser's estranged Protestant minister. Nell's father is bound and gagged on a pole while hooded figures pray around an altar, which Nell is tied on top of. Father and the film crew watch as Nell gives birth to something that is not of the human race. Manly throws it into the fire, which causes the fire to grow rapidly while demonic voices grow louder. At that moment, Father Faith is resolved as he grabs his cross and rushes towards the fire in a frenzied attempt to combat the evil. On the other hand, Iris is tackled by a member of the occult congregation who murders her with an axe, and when Daniel pauses to catch his breath, Caleb rises out of nowhere and mortally wounds him. The camera falls to the ground and the scene fades to black. Here the film ends. Since the film is based on dark forces that exist, it is twice as scarier as other horror films that depict the revenge of the undead with multiple jump scares. Unlike other scary movies, The Last Exorcism has an interesting twist on a largely worn-out genre and weaves you through uncertainty utilizing good misdirection. While the film fails to ever be frightening, it manages to tell a dark story. And speaking of the horror, make sure to wrap yourself in a blanket while watching it because it will surely spook you out. If you are tired of horror that doesn't impact your soul anymore, you have got to see The Last Exorcism. Thanks for watching another Essential Recap. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment what you'd like to see next.